Hi, my name is Shanti. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. I know a lot of Disney adults in my life, and I always think it's super fucking weird that people are Disney adults and spend hundreds of dollars to go to a children's park. People still celebrate this company that's pretty fucked up and has way too much fucking money. I don't get it.
I'm a Disney adult, and we're never really given a fair shake by people who aren't Disney adults. Nobody has a gun to your head saying that you need to love Disney stuff or go to the parks with us. We just tend to wear what we like on our sleeves. We don't need to be told that Disney is problematic. Chances are we know about how Disney is problematic in ways that you don't. There is no entry cost, there is no exit cost, and nobody's forcing us to do this.
My family are all Disney adults. We have a Disney Vacation Club membership since the 50s. It's like been a family vacation for years and years. The cultiest thing about it is my mom's the only one who likes it. All of her daughters and her daughters-in-law have been assigned a Disney princess, and we get various Disney princess paraphernalia at each holiday according to who we are.
This is Sounds Like a Cult, a show about the modern-day cults we all follow.
I'm Isa Medina, and I'm a comedian.
I'm Amanda Montell, author of the book Cultish, The Language of Fanaticism.
Every week here on our show, we discuss a different fanatical fringe group from the cultural zeitgeist, from astrology to Trader Joe's, to try and answer the big question.
This group sounds like a cult, but is it really? To join our cult, follow us on Instagram at Sounds Like a Cult Pod.
I'm on IG at Isa Medina, ISAAMEDINAA.
And I'm on Instagram at Amanda_Montell.
We also just launched our YouTube page, which is just Sounds Like a Cult podcast. We have video now.
Yeah, we do. And it's really special, especially on this episode. You'll see what we mean. You get a little something extra when you listen with your eyes. Also, for bonus materials, juicy cult discussions, and more, feel free to hit us up on Patreon at patreon.com/soundslikeacult.
This episode is brought to you by Merit Beauty, which we're actually wearing on our faces right now because we're obsessed with it.
Favorite makeup brand of the moment. Go to meritbeauty.com/cult to get their free signature reusable makeup bag with your purchase. Our other sponsor today is BetterHelp Online Therapy.
They offer video, phone, and even live chat sessions with your therapist.
There's a reason 2 million people have used BetterHelp.
Listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/cult.
That's BETTERHELP.com/cult.
Now, are you ready to take a magic carpet ride into this week's topic? Zoom, or maybe an elevator?
Yeah, Twilight. Oh, it's different now.
What
It's
is it
Guardians of the Galaxy is the theme of the ride.
What was it before?
Twilight
Zone. I loved that ride.
Me too. It's my favorite one. I love to feel like I'm plummeting to my death.
Yeah, and in like an artsy, fashionable way, because that's what Disney's all about. It's beautiful. It's not just a ride. It's also a magical experience.
Obviously, it's a world. I can show you that world.
Girl, show it to me. So if you don't know what a Disney adult is, I don't know where you've been living, and I don't know how you're listening to this episode, because you might just not have internet.
No, we had one commenter on our Instagram post about this being like, wow, this is truly the first episode topic you're covering where I have no idea what you're saying.
That's amazing. Where do they live? On the moon?
I think that actually is a great position to be in because you're not going to come at it with preconceived judgments.
Yes.
And it's also somewhat self-explanatory.
Yeah. An adult who loves Disney.
Yeah.
But I think it's like a person who's like has a full-time job. They go to the parks at least a couple times a year. They buy all the merch. They are obsessed with the movies, maybe even go to the midnight premieres. It's a person who just is obsessed with everything that Disney does.
Think of your hardest core Taylor Swift Swiftie, but for Disney. In this way, I think it's easier to say not what a Disney adult is, but what they do.
Yeah. Yeah, what do? They go to the parks.
Yeah.
They dress up.
They collect merch. They want to have access to the most exclusive Disney fun facts and paraphernalia.
Yeah, they even go as far as to sometimes make it, you know, their job in that they become influencers in the space, which stay tuned for the end of the episode. We have a very fun guest.
I would sort of classify a Disney adult as a person who I guess Disney follows them outside of the park and outside of the movie theater into their everyday life. We're not trying to figure out whether or not being a Disney adult is weird. It is pretty weird. We're trying to figure out whether or not it is harmful.
Yeah, exactly. And we also want to make sure that everyone understands, like, we're not talking about Disney, the corporation. We're not going to see if, like, the corporation is culty or not, because, like, obviously, if it's like a multi-billion-dollar corporation, something's gone off.
For sure. Of course, Disney's HQ culture is going to inform the fandom, but we're not going to talk about the experience of working at Disney. We're talking about the experience of worshiping Disney.
Exactly. I do think that there's one more final bullet point to differentiate a Disney adult from just like an adult who like sometimes goes to Disneyland.
Tell.
Which to me, I think is someone who doesn't have children.
Oh.
Because or sometimes Disney adults hide behind their children and force their children to dress up and force them to go to the parks. But I do think a healthier version of that is like an adult who doesn't have children and they're not hiding behind anything. They're just like, I love this because I became obsessed with it at some point in my life and now it is part of my life.
Oh, I see. Okay, so the equivalent is like you think it's healthier to discover your love of Disney on your own, maybe based on your childhood, but not because you were forced into it. But some families sort of like want to live vicariously through their children.
Yeah, like I feel like they were already obsessed and then they have kids and they're like, I'm going to have a kid because then I can take them to the park.
Oh, it reminds me of like toddlers and tiaras.
Exactly. That's my metaphor was going to be, it reminds me of like sports dads.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
But I love your
That is the gender
tiaras.
binary right there. It's like whether you're forcing your kid into Pee-wee football or you're forcing your daughter into pageants.
Exactly.
When you're forcing your child into the universe of Disney, that's kind of the convergence of those two energies.
You're like when you're pushing your child into the park. You're like, literally get in there, kid. Yeah. You're going to love it or you're going to fucking love it.
Yeah, totally.
Eat that ice cream shaped like a mouse.
Devour that bread bowl.
Yeah, exactly.
The food is kind of legit at Disneyland.
Okay, we've been like talking about this episode for so long that I've been like craving Disneyland food.
Their corn chowder is not delicious.
Did you have it on your birthday?
Yeah, I did. That's when I got these ears for those watching on YouTube and wondering what the fuck is going on.
Yeah, Amanda gave me my ears, so
yeah, you can keep those.
And they kind of actually match my outfit.
They really do, yeah. So let's go ahead and articulate some of the things that we find cultiest about Disney adults. We're not going to be able to cover everything, just the things that we find most salient.
We're going to talk about different themes. So we're going to talk about like exclusivity, in-group, out-group. We're going to talk about like entry-level costs. Are there any exit costs?
We're going to talk about capitalism. We're going to talk about conformity. And we're going to talk about undue judgment of Disney adults because there's a lot of that.
I think that Disney adults are people who, just right off the top, I'm going to say it. I think Disney adults are people who have a hobby. And I kind of admire that they go out into the world and live their hobby rather than just watch it on TV. Yeah. Because that's what a lot of people do these days.
Commit. It's actually
commit to the bit.
Commit to the bit. It's so true. They have committed shamelessly. And the word shameless has this negative connotation, but it's like, what? Do we want these people to have more shame?
Yeah.
What kind of message is that?
Shame literally only makes bad
everything
situations
worse. I know. It's like shame is how you get the fuck out level cults like the fundamentalist Mormons.
Exactly. Shame is how you get like priests in Boston situation.
Literally.
Yeah. All right. So the first thing.
Yeah.
I think that, like you mentioned earlier, the corporation does influence the way that Disney adults create exclusivity within themselves. So I think Disney has created this sense of like VIP, this idea that there's always a next level that you can access. And they've done that with their passes. They've done that with clubs within Disney. There's Club 33, which costs like tens of thousands of dollars to become a member of.
I think it's 25 to 33K up front to join and 10 to 5K yearly to maintain membership.
That is so much money. When I saw Club 33, I was like, oh, okay, like maybe a couple $100 year.
No, that's the equivalent of like going clear for a Scientologist.
Yeah. The club is essentially just like an airport area for Disneyland. That's what I'm getting the vibe.
Well, that's the funny thing about the feeling of exclusivity and cultishness. It's not even about the content. It's not even about what you access. It's about the feeling.
Yeah, it's about telling people. It's like about going around and being like, oh yeah, like I was just at Club 33 having a hot dog.
Very much so. But already to access Disney at the lowest level is very expensive.
Yeah.
You cannot talk about Disney without talking about the cult of capitalism.
Yeah.
You know? And they're constantly pushing you to spend. And spending is the equivalent to like reaching enlightenment in the Disney world.
And I think it's important to highlight how like a lot of people who are Disney adults are normal Americans who like have, you know, a couple holidays a year that they can spend away from work. And they're not like millionaires who should be spending like tens of thousands of dollars on visiting parks. And so I do think it's kind of a risk for some of these families or people to spend so much of their money on this hobby. But at the same time, if it makes them happy.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing it consensually. Nobody is forcing them to, you know, fork over all of their money in the way that, say, the cult that my dad spent his teenage years in, you had to, in order to be in this exclusive group, pay all of your salary to the leader. And the other thing is that sometimes in a really destructive cult, you'll spend your money thinking you're going to be getting one thing, and then it's bait and switched or misused on something else. And I don't really think that's going on here.
With Disney, they're like, this is exactly what you're getting and this is what's going to happen. But they have like a lightning pass thing.
Okay.
But in order to get a lightning pass, you have to download their app, which is called like Disney Genie, and it's $20 a day
to access the lightning pass.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's just, I feel like maybe run-of-the-mill corporate upcharging, you know? Not necessarily culty in the way that like you think you're spending $20 a month to get a meditation app and then all of a sudden you're in a sex cult. You know what I mean?
That's so true. They're not like asking you for nudes in exchange.
I think when it starts to get culty is when Disney adults start to attribute the amount of money they're spending with their worth in this group. And that's when you start to talk about the Facebook groups and the clothing, and we can talk about that next.
My name is Rose and I'm from Orlando. I think one of the cultiest things about Disney adults is specifically Disney influencers. They are impossibly pretty, impossibly coordinated. It sets people up for unrealistic expectations of their Disney vacation and then make people feel bad about that.
Hey, this is Tim from Stevens Point, Wisconsin. The absolute cultiest thing about Disney adults is just how quickly they snap when you say you don't like this character or you don't like that character.
I'm Kay from Sacramento, and I think the cultiest thing about Disney adults is the godlike pedestal that Walt Disney is placed upon to this day. He is talked about as if he was an all-knowing visionary.
One of the Facebook groups that they have is Disney Adults Without Children. It has over 130,000 members.
Oh my God.
They also have like that Disney adult dating app. What is it called?
Mouse Mingle.
Which is like a really cute name.
I mean, what is the difference between having Mouse Mingle and J Swipe, which is like the Jewish dating app?
I completely agree. Or having Mouse Mingle and like The League. I would say The League is worse.
The League is worse
than Mouse
or
Mingle.
Farmers Only, you know? Like, what's wrong with dating someone that you know shares this thing that's very important to you?
Yeah, exactly. I think that people are finding other people with like similar hobbies and similar interests to them that they like.
Yeah.
But when things get involved in your love life, especially with like weddings too, because we all know there's Disney adults who get married,
and the number of proposals that happen at the Disney parks every year, it's like you're spending one of the most meaningful moments of your life in front of this children's castle.
Yeah. And then there are even adults who like get married to a Disney adult. There was an acquaintance of mine that got divorced from her spouse because she was too into Disney and then got remarried to another Disney adult and is much happier. And then I have another friend who called in and he was like, I don't know if this was particular to my ex, but believing the characters are real. I guess like marriage isn't necessarily like a religious thing anymore. It really like doesn't have to be, but I do think that it has like an association to like,
traditionally, for sure.
yeah. So I think like it does get into that level of like you're connected to the park and you're connected to the company in like a more spiritual way.
Oh, I completely think that the way people interact with the Disney brand is completely akin to a religion. Like, I reference this sometimes, but there's a theologian and journalist named Tara Isabella Burton who says that it's hard to define what a religion is, but it's easy to define what a religion offers people.
Okay.
And it's to offer community, ritual, identity, and meaning.
Yeah.
That is what Disney offers people. It is completely a full-blown religion for some.
Also, in our research, I saw that a lot of Disney adults are obsessed with Walt Disney himself.
Yeah.
And they debate his thoughts and they debate his ideologies.
But he's dead.
But he's dead. Who does that remind you of?
God? Jesus? I don't know. I grew up Jewish. I don't really know.
Yeah.
Jesus. Yeah, it is.
Or Jesus himself.
Jesus himself. Completely, Walt Disney is this idol that they're worshiping, and so is Mickey Mouse.
I was just going to say, I feel like Walt Disney is Jesus and like Mickey Mouse and all the characters are like his apostles.
Oh, his apostles. I thought you were going to say the Holy Spirit.
Oh, no. You really are just very Jewish.
I just don't know about the Christian analogs, but very true. They hypothesize about what Walt would think of, say, changing the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror to Guardians of the Galaxy. Would he approve?
The fact that they like sit down and like are essentially analyzing his scripture.
Yeah.
Which is his movies and his cartoons. Walt Disney's cartoons are his scripture.
Controversial opinion. I'm going to say it in public, but I personally find biblical stories and Disney stories to be equally fictitious. That's my like Disney ears.
You're like, hot take.
Well, hot take. I mean, if you're looking to Disney movies for a script by which to follow your life. And I think everyone who grew up with Disney does this to some degree. Like, I definitely look to Disney movies to see what I thought about relationships, etc.
Totally.
When you look to that content to figure out how you want to live your life and to figure out who you are, that is not that dissimilar to looking to the Bible. And in this way, it is almost a new religious movement. It doesn't involve a God per se, but the deceased or animated figures that are providing this inspiration for your life serve that godlike role.
People who grew up watching Disney movies is like, you learn what's right or wrong from those movies.
It is somewhat problematic to worship Walt Disney, whether he's dead or alive, just, considering that he was an anti-Semite. And this is what a lot of non-Disney adults will say is culty about Disney adults, is that they worship this brand that's super problematic. And I think that is valid.
I think that is valid, but also like, are the people who are critiquing these Disney adults saying they blindly worship this brand looking into the people who worship the brand? Because I actually think a lot of Disney adults are pretty vocal about like things that they don't like. It's just that idea of like where you spend your dollar and like there is no ethical consumption under capitalism. So truly you can't.
Who among us does not patronize and or stan a brand without problematic leadership?
Yeah, no
one.
One. It's like people in glass houses can't throw stones. Like, we all need to criticize the problematic brands that we're repping before we start criticizing problematic brands that other people are repping. So like, let them be happy.
Yeah, I mean, we'll hear from our guest who is a member of the LGBTQ plus community and who has actively advocated for Disney to be more inclusive.
Everything needs a grassroots movement.
For sure.
So I think if these Disney adults are speaking on important issues, then it's important for those avenues to be open, especially like our guest today. If he's like an influencer in the space, that could affect like the way that people spend at the parks.
1,000%. I mean, that's what his title is. He has the capacity to influence. That's what he does. And a really destructive cult would say, take someone off a press list or take someone off their media list if they expressed pushback. But they're not doing that to our guest and those like him.
Yeah. Again, we're not defending the corporation in any way.
No, not at all. We're in part defending some of these Disney adults who are the subject of such harsh judgment.
I think the judgment comes from what you said earlier, which is like, it is a little weird, right? like we look at these parks and we think these parks were made for children. But when Walt Disney made the park, he was an adult.
Yeah.
He made the park as an adult, and there was never a time where he explicitly said that the parks were for children.
People are like, you're into Disney as an adult, grow up. Why? Because you're projecting because you grew out of it, so you think everyone else has to too. Why? So they can go join a more adult type of cult and displace their fanaticism onto QAnon, conspiracy theories, alcohol. If someone has that zeal in them, they're going to find an outlet for it. And I think comparatively, Disney, it's not that fucking bad.
It's not.
Here's the thing is like, during times of crisis, we always turn to nostalgia, right? It's like why during the pandemic, all these reboots and reunions of old movies were happening. We romanticized the past in a way to have hope about the future.
Yeah.
Literally the same parts of our brains light up when we dream about the future as when we romanticize the past.
The way that you say that, like in Pink, you're like...
I contain multitudes, as Walt Whitman once said, and I can wear Disney ears and talk about neuroscience at the same time.
Go off. I do think we need to talk about the cultier aspects of it. Like any community that like doesn't have like a system of monitoring or like a like universal way of like making sure that everyone is safe, there are going to be some toxic figures in the space.
Hey, Issa and Amanda. I'm Sarah, calling from Arlington, Virginia. I think the cultiest thing about Disney adults is how many engagements you see at Disney parks. Like, the most important moment of your life has to be Disney related.
Hi, I'm Sydney, and I'm from Portland. And the cultiest thing about Disney adults is definitely the attire, the focus on what adults are wearing to Disney, as well as the flooded secondary market of things like home decor, coffee mugs that are all definitely geared towards adults.
So the cultiest thing about Disney adults is the debt they will put themselves into in order to continue to go for every celebration or to purchase anything marked limited edition.
The Mickey Mouse ears, some people like to collect all of them, and some of the collector's editions are upwards of $1,000 a pair, which is crazy.
Another culty aspect of Disney adults is the specialized lingo. There are whole glossaries of in-group terminology you can find online, acronyms. Actually, I found a website called allears.net that had, maybe 100 Disney-specific acronyms like EMH, which stands for Extra Magic Hours, GAP, Gold Annual Pass, so many more. There are terms like Hidden Mickeys, which are like Easter eggs planted around the parks, mousekeeping, a synonym for housekeeping, which kind of reminds me how the cult of WeWork would have highfalutin terms like WEEO instead of CEO. And then, of course, there's Disney's tagline, the most magical place on earth, which, promises don't really get more hyperbolic than that. The other word that's kicked around is Disney bounding, when Disney adults who know they're not allowed to dress as characters in the park will come up with this very clever way of dressing to sort of hint at Disney characters.
Yeah, and they try and push the boundaries because there are literally rules in the parks that you're not allowed to dress like a character. And one of the most recent dramas is that there were Disney adults who were going to the park trying to crack the actual characters. They were going around on TikTok and taking videos of like the Disney adult characters and trying to get them to go out of character or
break the fourth wall.
Yeah, exactly.
Which they're not allowed to do, or else they'll get in trouble.
Yeah, and so one of the Disney characters who works at the park, they make like minimum wage.
Right.
They are truly just there because like it's a job for them, was like, stop doing that. Like, we don't like it when you do that. We don't want you to do that. And some Disney adults have gotten kicked out and like banned from Disney.
So there was this drama between those who work at Disneyland and Disney World and those who are fans and make content about Disneyland and Disney World.
Yeah.
So it does get cliquey, as any passionate community does. There are two elements of being a Disney adult that I think take it into a different league, and that is Storyville and the Disney College Program.
I was going to say the Disney College Program. If you don't know what the Disney College Program is, it's actually just an internship program. It's not a college at all. So the fact that it has college in the name is giving me Trump University vibes.
Totally, it's giving me like University of Phoenix vibes.
Yeah, and it's like, I think that's already misleading, and I think it's like a little predatory.
The Disney College Program is this education, professional development, and paid internship program, kind of like study abroad, but the abroad is Disney.
Yeah.
They are not an accredited program, but you can earn college credit by basically like working an entry-level job at Disneyland.
Yeah, but you already like have to be at a separate college or university institution in order to get that. And so I think it's a little predatory that they say that it's a college program.
So it's a little overblown. It's like, why does Disney need to weasel its way into our education system?
Exactly. The last thing we think makes it very culty is Storyliving. They're communities where you can literally live.
Yeah, there are these residential communities for Disney lovers. It's basically like living in a gated community, but Disney themed.
This is actually not the first time that Disney has tried to create communities. Walt Disney tried to open one in the 90s, and it failed.
We weren't ready for that.
Yeah.
I think it says a lot about how cultish our culture has become that we're ready for it now.
It also did just come out like a month ago.
Yeah.
So we'll see how long it lasts.
True. So the first location is in Rancho Mirage. That's where Walt Disney himself used to own a house. They've got estates, single family homes, condos, retirement communities. And it's this, voluntary club membership where you get access to curated experiences and entertainment. And each community is operated by Disney cast members.
I think the reason we saved the Storyliving for the end is because, like in all notorious cults, like the final step is to like physically move somewhere.
Well, and you don't even have to move to Storyliving to have Disney affect where you move. Plenty of people, including our guest, uprooted their life and moved to either Southern California or Orlando just to be close to the parks.
Yeah, it's now not just like you're moving to a neighborhood near the parks, you're moving into the literal neighborhood that is made and created by the parks, and you're living.
It's the next level.
In this like fantasy.
For sure.
Which, if you're not harming anyone and you can leave whenever you want.
Yeah, that's the thing. You can leave whenever you want. It's not like Jonestown where they'll shoot you.
Yeah.
If you leave.
Yeah, I mean, we'll find out in a couple months.
I know it's going to come out.
But I think that this kind of leads perfectly into our guest, who can tell us more because he uprooted his life to move next to a park. Our guest today is Francis Dominic. He is a Disney adult. He doesn't use that term, I don't think, but
he wasn't offended by it.
He wasn't offended by it.
It's not like it's a slur.
Yeah, he did move to a neighborhood near Disneyland to be closer, but he goes to all of the events. He speaks on their movies and merch.
He's a professional Disney influencer. That's the way he makes his living.
Exactly. And he's going to tell us a bit more about his experience, why he got involved with Disney to begin with, and he's going to tell us the tea.
Yeah, he's going to expose the inner life of a true Disney adult. We're going to take a quick break to tell you about our sponsors for this week, who we are so grateful to have and who we could not continue to make this show without.
If you are on YouTube, then you know that we're wearing this brand right now. That's why we look so beautiful. But I'm really into Merit Beauty. I don't know how else to say it.
Merit is a chic new makeup brand that makes putting your face on so simple and fun.
Yeah, and hot.
We learned about it because they wanted to sponsor us. And the second I got the cute little bag that all the makeup comes in, I was like, the fuck is this adorableness? And the makeup is so good.
It's so good and it's so simple. I literally wear the Flush Balm almost every day now, and it's perfect because you don't have to put like on a full face of makeup, but you also can.
I layer the fuck out of all their products. Their lipstick, their minimalist concealer foundation product, their brow gel, the Flush Balm, which is cheek tint, and I'm obsessed with it. I've never encountered a beauty brand easier to apply.
Yeah, and I'm always running late, so I like literally take the minimalist and the Flush Balm with me out the door and I put it on in the car. And it works perfectly.
Merit's the best. They're also vegan and cruelty-free certified by Leaping Bunny. Even the shipment packaging is recyclable, reusable, or biodegradable.
Upgrade your makeup routine with Merit. Head to merit.com/cult to get their free signature reusable makeup bag with your purchase.
That's meritbeauty.com/cult for their free signature reusable makeup bag.
meritbeauty.com/cult. This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp Online Therapy.
We're obviously in some tough mental health times. Doing virtual therapy can be a more accessible and cheaper option.
I've been doing virtual therapy for like 2.5 years.
Oh, really?
It's made my life so much easier because you don't want therapy to be stressful.
That's so true. So in the middle of the pandemic, when I couldn't go to my traditional therapist, I actually used BetterHelp, and it was really easy. It was just a great way to check in, to get tools when I needed them the most.
BetterHelp is online therapy that offers video, phone, and even live chat sessions with your therapist, so you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to.
It's much more affordable than in-person therapy, and you can be matched with a therapist in under 48 hours, which was my experience. It was so easy.
Give it a try and see why over 2 million people have used BetterHelp online therapy.
This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp.
Sounds Like a Cult listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/cult.
That's BETTERHELP.com/cult.
Do you want to let our guests know who you are and how you became such a hardcore Disney fan?
Hi everyone, my name is Francis Dominic. I'm here in your ears to tell you about a little bit about my life story with Disney. So I've actually been in love with Disney since I was born because I have pictures of me wrapped in a Mickey Mouse baby blanket the moment I came out of my mom. So it was solidified from that point on. Through my mom's love through Disney, she kind of just ingrained that into all of us, and it manifested into this huge, giant, phenomenal career that I've just been able to hone in and be a part of this circle. So it's been a wild ride since.
So you grew up with Disney as like your religion, basically.
Yes, yeah. I was saying hi to Mickey Mouse before like any kind of religion was even based on upon me. So
cute. It's like you chose him, he didn't choose you.
Yeah,
or
yeah.
maybe.
Yeah, or maybe, you never know. My mom was just like, this one.
And all you need to access heaven is to buy an annual pass.
Exactly.
Can you please explain what is a Disney adult exactly?
What I would say a Disney adult is someone that embodies and like loves Disney theme parks, animations, fashion, or even just like past influences. I mean, there's so many things that Disney can delve into now. Like, it's not even just animated things or like princesses and prince. Like, we literally have Star Wars, Marvel, and all of the live action, and even just from design aspect of it that you can appreciate because Disney's always in the forefront. So there's a lot of like niches that fit into this giant small umbrella, because some people just see Disney as like theme parks, but some people see Disney as like for the kind of cult following that it has, in a sense. People don't want to say it's a cult, but essentially it is. I'm like,
you heard it here first, folks.
you low-key worship a mouse, you visit a castle as much as you can. Like, babe, like, there's no difference than going to a church and worshiping like a man in the sky. Like, so being a Disney adult is just having fun with it, not taking it seriously. And you can be as big of a fan as small as a fan. You're still a Disney adult. I don't care if you're just a theme park goer or a movie watcher. I'm like, babe, if you love it, you love it all.
Green flag. You can be any level that you want. Pretty much.
Yes.
Wait,
Yeah.
so can you explain your journey into becoming a Disney adult? Because before we started recording, you were talking about how you moved to Orange County. Like, this is your career now. Can you explain all of that?
So I was raised in New York, and then we moved to the Bay Area. And so Disney was only 6 hours away from us. And with that kind of love, I kind of just egged everyone to drive to SoCal with me as much as we can to enjoy Disney. And I took my love further and applied for this program, an internship called Disney College Program. And it was one of the best times of my life. Like, can you just imagine living at Disney World from 8 to 12 months of your life, and all you do is work, eat, sleep, play Disney? That's it. That's all you did. And you got
your
paid.
dream.
Yeah, and you got paid to do it. And then so that's what I did first. And then after I finished that internship, I went back home, did more schooling, and then I did another internship in Disneyland. And then so I worked with them during the 60th anniversary in 2015. And then I stayed on and then became a tour guide and worked in guest relations. And then after guest relations, I noticed that a lot of people started following me through my entire Disney journey. I didn't know I was an influencer before even the influencer term came out, because I was already inspiring and like setting trends on like how to wear certain things or like what to wear to the parks, and that the parks can also be your runway. And then I became a Disney influencer, and now I just get to do all these fun things with Disney, whether it be going to premieres or being flown out and like experiencing like new things. The most recent thing I did with it was the Galactic Star Cruiser, which was their new Star Wars hotel in Orlando, and that was insane. So that was just like a short version of my entire life with Disney and how much it's made my life so much better in every aspect.
That's so fun. I feel like the reason I like don't allow myself to indulge in that kind of stuff is because I like, again, this is like the whole theme of the podcast. I would like fall into the world and then like think that I actually was Peter Pan. Like I wouldn't want to leave.
That's the thing that you would have to work on, though. Like people can separate that. But
yeah, no,
also,
that's a personal problem. We're in therapy. We're there.
But also, I mean, like you can do it. You can have as much or as little fun as you can with it. There's no rules to it. Sure, there will be some like noise, but like that's up to you to listen. So you don't have to.
How do you think that Disney can take over your life in both good and potentially not so good ways? In other words, what positive effects can be from the cult of Disney on your life, and what are like the hardcore Disney fans like? Do you think they ever go too far?
Oh, absolutely. So I'm going to start with the con first, because it's better to start with that and then end with a positive note. Some of the cons, like some of these people are, I don't know if I can say it, but it's like they're like batshit insane. Like there are, like, you think I'm a hardcore fan. There's literally people out there who are bigger fans than me. And I know that's hard to believe, but some of them are just go full on out. And sometimes those can like manifest into like a negative aspect where like people are like, oh, like I'm a bigger Disney fan than you, so your thoughts and your opinions about this are invalidated. And so that could be like the toxic aspect of it. One of the positive aspects I do is that as a Disney adult, it's so hard to make friendships in our adulthood, especially when we leave our homes. And so finding people who are like-minded and love the same things as you do, you are able to develop this like insane and already deep connection just because you have such a passion and love for the brand like Disney already. And so it's up to you on whether you want to wage with the light side or the dark side, but you can either be a villain or a hero in your own Disney story.
I love the metaphors.
Yeah, there are some people who are very negative and they only want to spew negativity, but there's also so much more bright light within the fandom as well. So it really just depends on how you want to go about it.
I love that. Do you think that like with the people who can get a little toxic or like, it sounds kind of like gatekeepery, like I know more than you vibes. Do you think that anyone has ever gotten into like a culty situation from like being competitive and being like, I'm going to take it to the next level?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things in the Disney community right now because of social media about being the first. They want to be the first in everything. And I feel like the faster the people learn that not to be the first at everything, the more peaceful their lives will be, because it is just crazy how some of these people just like will like sharpen their elbows and like get their way to the front, like metaphorically, like not literally, to just be like the first at something. Yeah. And it's like, it's not a competition on experiences, because these things aren't gonna go away. I mean, like, I can understand it from like a merchandise point of view, but like from an experience point of view, I'm like, there's always gonna be time unless like a date has been like said that this is going away. So that's, I think, one of the biggest extremes is like the first culture of being like the one to do it first.
And are they competing for like clout, followers, success, or is it more like spiritual than that?
They do it, I think, just so that they have the most coverage and their stuff gets shared the most, so that they'll be the ones out there speaking on the personal experience aspect of it. So people just want to be the first at it.
That's like the cult of capitalism all bubbled up into the cult of
I'm
social
like,
media.
Yeah. There's no ethical consumption under capitalism, but we're all under its spell.
Exactly.
Are there any cult vibes coming from like Disney HQ? Like what is your relationship with like the Disney gods?
It's scary like that some people who have high influences and power can like sway like the entire brand. Just like with the drama too with like the Don't Say Gay bill. I'm like with JPEG. I'm like Iger was like full on LGBTQ, like he was so positive and he was like so all about inclusion. And then now as like a new CEO, he's like, yeah, we donated money, but like you're gonna deal with it. Like that, like just the two differences in power, like that's crazy. And that sways like how the entire brand looks. Like one person can really be that damaging or that good to the company. So it's imperative of like who gets to be up there. But it's also sad too because it's like, like there's so many people in this company who are trying to like break barriers and try to like be more inclusive and more diverse, but like a white guy on top could just ruin it all, you know?
Yeah. Do you think that like as Disney adults, especially like with a following, do you think that you guys have like any kind of power to like get attention from them to change things like bottom up?
I feel like we do because at the end of the day, I'm like, we're the money. We're the ones that pay them. And so if enough people like back it up and like stand up, then like they'll take notice, you know? And I really do believe that change can happen from the bottom, no matter what size your platform is. Like everyone has a voice. If you have 1 to 100 followers or even like 1,000 to 100,000, like you have a following, like someone's always willing to listen. And the more that you cause a string of movement, the more your voice gets heard. And then the more that people will resonate with it and be like, hey, that's not freaking cool. Let's do something about it.
Francis for president.
I know.
I was like, I have a lot of strong beliefs.
That's what we like.
This cult of actually like you for president is exactly what America needs right now. Like we all just need to like relax and have a good time.
Do you have any stories of like the most extreme things you can think of a Disney adult doing for the fandom? And what do you think of Storyville?
I feel like I'm an extreme person myself. When I used to work at Disney, I used to help with Disney proposals too. And so one of my favorite things was setting up this proposal inside Tower of Terror. I think one of the biggest things that like a Disney adult or Disney fan can do is visit or go to the D23 Convention, which is the biggest Disney convention. I don't know if you guys heard of it, but it is literally a 3-day convention full of Disney fans. And this is where we get introduced to the new movies, to the new theme parks, to whatever new thing they're doing. And what's crazy is that all the celebrities show up. Like the last D23, the entire cast of every single Disney movie showed up, including one of the biggest ones was for Disney Endgame. Oh my God. They were just naming each person of the cast and they all came out on stage and we all watched the trailer for the first time together in this room. You don't get those experiences anywhere except when you go to these conventions. So those 3 days are like the biggest. It's like Disney Adult Olympics. Like this is the time to be like the first ones to know it all, the first times to get the merch, the first times to get like the limited edition things, and the first time to know all the information that can happen and will happen. And it only happens like every 2 years. So it's happening this year in September, I believe. So if you guys want to go,
fans, like pilgrimage.
Do you have any of like the park food?
I wish they did, but they want you to like go to the parks after because the convention ends every day at 6. So they'll like, I don't know if they still do this, but they used to sell Twilight tickets, which would be from like 5 to closing, and you'd pay like half the price of it. So you'll be able to enjoy the parks after the convention.
Oh, that's cool. I feel like that would be like perfect for me because it's like afternoon, it's cooler out. It's
yeah.
I'm like hungry just thinking about Disney. So, do you think there are any cliques or different types of Disney adults? Is there ever any drama amongst Disney adults? I feel like you touched on it a little bit.
Girl, there's so much drama. I just try to be blissfully unaware because I just like to fade into the background and watch all of it unfold. Because it has nothing to do with me, but we all know we love watching a good drama that doesn't involve us. It's like, oh my God, a car crash. But like, you can't look away, you know?
Of course.
Yeah, like it literally makes traffic when someone crashes a car because everyone's like looking out their window.
They're rubbernecking.
Yeah.
I mean, we rubberneck at cults. Without naming names, can you think of an example of like some hardcore Disney drama?
I think one of my favorite Disney dramas is in like early middle 2010s. They used to have like these like Disney gangs that would show up in Disneyland in like jean jackets. They were like a biker gang, but like you go to the parks together and they all have like their each own hangout spots in the park, and like they can get territorial, and they were like, no, like this is like my side
this
of
is
the
our
park.
bench.
Yeah, like Disney heard of it so bad that they were like, no, you guys aren't allowed to do this anymore. But you should have seen these like Disneyland gangs. Like they were serious. If you go to Disney on Sunday, some of them like still like show up, but they can't like be a gang, you know? Like they're called like social
They can't
clubs.
be affiliated.
There's so many different versions of cliques and niches in Disney that it can hit any kind of aspect.
We really are all children at heart. Like it's like in the playground when like you would form your little cliques and like you think you're cool just because you're surrounded by your friends.
Yeah.
And like if you think you're cool, then maybe you are cool, you know? Like
Yeah. Okay, we're going to ask one more question and then we're going to play a quick game. Why do you think outsiders think adults who love Disney are cultish?
I think it's because it's one of the most like louder and prominent ones. A lot of people are always judgment of being like, oh dude, like you're such a child for wanting to spend time at a theme park. I'm like, babe, if you can watch guys bounce around balls or throw balls, I'm not gonna judge you for what you want to do. But like, I'm not hurting anyone. But like, we all have our own niches and different things that we like. But this one is just easier to like bully on. We all do the same things. We all pay for the things that we want to do. We all go to the places that we want to do. I'm like if people want to pay like thousands of dollars for like a certain artist they want to see or like a certain game that they want to watch, I'm like, people can go to a theme park and pay thousands of dollars to vacation. I'm like, and people are just like labeling it because it's easy for them to like crucify in a sense, you know?
We love problematizing sports on this podcast, and like getting that intense about a little game where you're throwing around a little ball, that's childish too.
Or MMA, like fake fighting that like people go watch. I'm like, that's actually like theater. Like
100%.
Theater.
It's just a masculine version of theater. You're still paying money to see it, but I'm not shitting on you for liking dudes in underwear and putting on a show to fight for you. Like I'm not gonna like project that onto you. Like go ahead and enjoy that. And I'm like, if you like sports and you like Disney, I'm like, Disney literally owns ESPN. I'm like, if you're watching baseball or football, you're also a Disney adult. I don't care what you say. I'm like, I don't care what sports team you rep. You're still a Disney adult. You're still giving money to ESPN. Like, babe, you're not slick.
So now we're going to play a little game. It's just a classic Would You Rather Disney Cult Edition.
Okay, let's do it.
Would you rather have to live in the new Disney Storyliving neighborhood for the rest of your life, or live in a commune of flat earthers for 1 month?
I would rather live in Storyville just because it's so beautiful. And it's like a paywall version of Epcot and what Walt Disney wanted to do. So if I was going to live here and in Palm Springs, well, then so be it. So what? It'll be so fun.
You're like, easy. I want to live in Storyville.
Easy.
Yeah.
Okay, next question. Would you rather have to spend a month on the abandoned Discovery Island? You have food and shelter, but you can't access the outside world. Or join the Church of Scientology for 1 year.
Oh, no. I would go to the Discovery Island because sometimes I need to disconnect from all these So I'm going to do it. I have food and shelter.
1 month.
Perfect. 1 month.
We're softballing you. We're softballing you for sure.
Yeah. I was like, guys, these are so easy.
Would you rather only be allowed to use social media to interact with Disney conspiracy groups on Facebook and Reddit, or have a regular social media use, but you're not allowed to post about Disney?
Oh,
Ooh,
shit.
This one's hard.
That's hard. That's a good one. I'd rather debacle with people on Facebook and Reddit. I feel like that would be easier because I still want to post about Disney. So sure, my mental health might deplete a little bit, but that's what therapy is for.
It's the cost.
That's right.
It's the cost of posting. Okay, would you rather attend the D23 Expo for a full 3 days without being able to sleep or take a break from the activities at all, or spend 1 week living as a practicing Mormon?
I've already done the D23 every 2 years since it started, so I will gladly do it again.
Without sleep or break? We don't need
Yeah. You have no idea, but I slept in those parking lots so that I can go into those convention rooms. Literally, it would end at 6. I would not even go to the parks. I would go straight. We would have inflatable, those inflatable swim things, and we would lay them out in this cold cement so that we'll be able to sleep, so that we can have access to these panels in the morning. You should see it in the holding rooms for Disney. It's cold as hell. It's all cement and it's all bright light. So I've done it before. I've done no sleep, no break. I'm like, this is literally Disney Olympics.
This one is unfazed.
Yeah.
Would you rather have to wear a pair of Mickey Mouse ears 24/7, including to important meetings, interviews, etc., for the rest of your life, or give up getting your nails done?
Wait, how long do I have the ears for? A year or for the rest of my life?
The rest of your life.
Oh my God, I have to give up the nails then.
Oh,
I have to give up
they're
the
so
nails.
beautiful.
I know, they're done up right now. They're like half dark, half light. Oh,
So cute.
Yeah, I would have to say goodbye to nails. I can't do ears for the rest of my life.
Everyone's going to have to follow you, even if they don't care about Disney, which, first of all, how dare, but they'll follow you for the nails alone.
Thank you.
All right, last question. Would you rather never be able to visit Disney again, but you get to live a normal life, or you have to live in a frat house full of incels, but they go on a group trip to Disney once a year?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I consider myself as a really good influencer. So give me those frat boy incels. I will literally turn them into men. I have no problem doing so. I have no problem doing so.
That's the best answer you could have ever come up with.
I have no problem. I have no problem turning these boys into men. I'm like, babe, let's go ahead. If you're going to give me one trip to Disney every year versus no trips to Disney, let me go ahead and shape these men up.
Okay, I love that. You're like doing a deed for society at the same time.
Exactly.
The Messiah has risen.
Yeah, I'm like, my first lesson will be is like, let's learn the difference between consent. Yes and no.
Yes. Listen, this has been a delight beyond compare. If folks want to follow you and just like join your cult, where and how can they do that?
All of my socials are under Francis Dominic. Francis Dominic, and the last I has 2 eyes. So you can find me all of that in Instagram and TikTok and just anywhere else.
So Amanda, in those ears, can you tell me, out of the 3 cult categories, do you think that Disney adults are a live your life, a watch your back, or a get the fuck out level cult?
You know, all of the things that people feel most passionate about complaining about regarding Disney adults, the aesthetic and the movies and constantly going to the parks and collecting and merch and lingo and blah, 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 blah. I think all of that is a live your freaking life.
Amanda!
If you can't tell by me like earnestly wearing these ears right now, all of that is like, who are they hurting?
Yeah.
What are the exit costs?
Like, you're not signing away your life to anything.
If you lose interest in Disney for whatever reason, no one is going to shun you. You're not going to be physically harmed.
Yeah, I feel like the reason Disney adults bothers people is kind of like, I was thinking about this on the way here.
Yeah.
I feel like Disney adults gets under people's skin because it's like bright and colorful, and it gets a reaction out of them. It's kind of like when you like go past the like salad section in a menu, you're like, oh, this is annoying.
Yeah, it's people just think it's obnoxious.
Yeah,
but
it's
so
like,
what? Then
read
look
on.
away.
Look away. Go move on to the burgers and fries. You don't have to get a salad. For us to talk about something on this podcast, there's obviously going to be like a level of cultiness.
Of course.
But it's what level? And I agree. I think that Disney adults are a live your life. And again, with the disclaimer that you have to always like be watching out for your health, yourself,
your finances,
and like your friend groups. But that's just general life advice. Like always, like we read your comments, you guys, but these are our opinions and some might see differently of the Disney adult community. But we think Disney superfans are kind of like the cult of feet. It's basically just a wholesome daytime kink. And who are we to judge if it's not turning us on? You know what I mean? As long as it's consensual, all is good. All's to say, we looked at Disney Adult. We went in the forums. We talked a little bit about the drama. You know, there's toxicity in everything.
We heard all your listener call-ins.
We heard
from our guest.
But we ultimately think, as fun as it is to like pick at some people who do little funny, weird things,
Disney Adults is low-hanging fruit.
It is, and we think it's a live your life. And I want to go to a park because we won't shut the fuck up about it.
I know, it is actually hella fun.
Yeah. Anyway,
that's our show.
Thanks for listening.
We'll be back with a new cult next week.
But in the meantime,
stay culty, but not too culty. Sounds Like a Cult is created, hosted, and produced by Amanda Montel and Issa Medina. Kate Elizabeth is our editor.
Our podcast studio is All Things Comedy, and our theme music is by Casey Kolb. Thank you to our intern/production assistant, Noemi Griffin. Subscribe to Sounds Like a Cult wherever you get your podcasts, so you never miss an episode.
And if you like our show, feel free to give us a rating and review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, and check us out on Patreon at patreon.com/soundslikeacult.